Hello again and welcome back to our media course. Well, here we are in week 3 and it's been a wonderful experience over the last couple of weeks having a chat with all of you, whether it be in person, either in class or individually, or via email or right here on the website. It's been really interesting getting the feedback from all of you about how you're enjoying the course and how you're especially liking the wonderful Johnny Vanguard. Okay, this week what we're going to talk about is we're going to look at a little bit of work that revolves around the Wikipedia article, and we're also going to continue on with our work that relates to some news articles. So we're going to look at angles in news, and we're going to look at some research skills. Let's first look at the idea of research. And one of the important things that you should be doing is getting the research done for your Johnny Vanguard article. Now, your Johnny Vanguard article is due in a couple of weeks. So where should you be up to at this point? Well, I believe this week you should start a draft. You should at least have draft 1 written, hopefully by the end of this week. One of the things you might like to do is do a brainstorming session. If you come to class, we'll do a brainstorming session on the board. And what I'll ask you to do is give me a couple of pertinent bits of information that you think relate to Johnny Vanguard. So if you can't get to class, then what should you do? I think you should still do some form of brainstorming. But what I'd suggest you do is do it in the following way. Think about doing a brainstorming session by putting down the name Johnny Vanguard, say, on a Word document or on a piece of paper, and then look at the websites and start finding the pertinent bits of information. So think about things like Johnny's personal life or background. So when was he born? Where was he born? All of that information. Put that in one part of of your brainstorming session. Second, all the things that do with his or deal with his music or entertainment career. Thirdly, all the personal bits of Johnny Vanguard's life. How many people has he gone out with? Talk about the band, find some band areas. Just 1 or 2 pertinent bits of information. Johnny made a film at one point. Have you found that information? Where would that go in your brainstorming session? On the website here, as you can see, this is this week's part of the website. I have a link to a recent brainstorming session that I've done with some students. So as you can see, we've looked here at Johnny Vanguard, the fact that he went to the US at one point, the fact that he had dealings. Not everything that Vanguard's done has been above board. He's made a few mistakes in his life, but that's the idea that I wanted to come across when Vanguard first came up and I first created him. I wanted him to have a very, very disparate career like many artists do. So a brainstorming session, get some ideas down on paper. But remember, let's try and turn that into something by the end of this week. So let's have, by the end of this week, a 1-page Wikipedia draft that you can send to me or give to me in class. Now, if you are going to email it, make sure that in the subject line of that email, you put in your name, the course that you're doing, and what the subject is. Like, I've got a question about Johnny, or here is my draft of assessment 1. Okay? That way, firstly, I'll know it's not spam, and secondly, I'll know that what you're actually after. Remember, I said I reply quickly to your email, so I'd be happy to get back as fast as I can. And I'll give you some pertinent advice. Also, make sure you use that template that I asked you to do. So in the previous weeks 2, make sure you've got a look at that template and that you're downloading that and using that if you can. The other thing that I've given you this week is I've given you a link to how to create a Wikipedia article. Now, this is actually aimed at people who are creating a professional Wikipedia article, who are going to actually, put a Wikipedia article up online. They're actually going to make it happen. I'll just make it bigger on the screen for you so that you can see what I'm talking about there. So make sure that, in your travels this week, you have a look at that particular video, because it's pertinent information that's important for us. Now, there's things in there that I think, or elements that they talk about in there that I think relate to us. Plus, if you're ever going to put up a real Wikipedia article, I think you'll find that this really will help you with your ideas. Okay, so how to create a Wikipedia article. Have at least a look at a few minutes of that particular document. Right, let's get on again to angles in news stories. Now, last week I touched briefly on the idea of what an angle is in a news story. And I said an angle, remember, was the point of view, or the slant, or the idea that the journalist takes when they begin to talk about, or when they are writing a news article, or even performing or doing some work on radio, or even writing a blog. Okay, so an angle is their perspective. Okay, but in relation to that, or connected to that, there's another interesting point that we need to talk about, which sort of deals with angles. Well, there's an old saying in the journalistic world, and it says, there's no new in the word news. What does that mean? And I suppose what it means is that all news has some link to it. Okay, so all news has some form of background, or some form of, I suppose the best way to put it is anchor. Now, the reason for this is so that when we read an article, we really understand that it comes from somewhere. It's got a political background, or a social background, or a cultural connection. That also influences the point of view. So what I've given you here on this part of the website, this week's part of the website, is I've given you a couple of stories that link over to a couple of pertinent news stories. Now have a look at those two news stories, and I want you to determine, what sort of background or point of view do they have. So I've given you a couple of questions, and I've actually written there, be aware that you don't have to submit these. They're just work that you are doing as part of your class. If you came to class this week, you will see that we do this in class. But if you don't, this is your online version. So I've looked at two news stories, and they have a similar background. So be aware of that. So it says, how are they different? How are they the same? What background is there to these? Are they politically based? Are they culturally based? Are they historically based? Is there a combination? And you'll find there is. What is the structure of the article? In the next couple of weeks, as we get on to writing more and more and thinking more and more about news articles, we will see that there is a structure. Now, I'll give you a bit of a tip here for those of you who are looking at our classroom here online. The structure is what we call, and I'll talk more about this next week, an inverted pyramid. And what that means is that the most important information is first, down to the least important information in that pyramid style. Okay? So that's really important. And if you think about it, take one step back. A Wikipedia article is also written in that top-down style. At least that bit that's at the start, the bit that I'd like you to write, that one or two paragraphs that talks about, Keith Urban, or in this case, Johnny Vanguard. It's a top-down mentality. Most important to least important information. Inverted pyramid style. Okay? So think about that. All right, the fourth question there is, what angle or point of view has each of these reporters taken? And I think what you'll find is that they've taken slightly different angles. Your thought process should be, coming at, well, why? Why have they done that? And I think that's important. That's what I want you to think about when we're doing news articles, because that's what you're going to have to do when we finally get to writing news articles in the next couple of weeks. Okay, I've also put on a little video here, which is sort of based around press releases, right? But is more about angles and that top-down pyramid mentality. So have a quick look at that. And also have a look at the website that I put up from the Media Helping Media people, which features sort of a good breakdown on how to find an angle. Okay, there's a lot to do there for you for this week. So just make sure you're also writing your answers to that 1A part of the assessment. So look at the news article I've given you and make sure that you're actually writing the answers so that you can submit it in the next week or so. Okay, write draft 1 of your Johnny Vanguard Wikipedia article and try and send it to me, as a draft so that I can look at it and give you some results back, or hand it to me, or come see me in class. Okay, that's just about it for this week. Remember, if you're needing some help, if you want me to come and meet you at a time that's not in class, email me or call me or find me in the college. I'm happy to talk to you. It's been great to talk to you again. I really hope you're enjoying our classes, and I hope to see you next week. Take care. Bye.